in the heart of County Kerry, Ireland, where rolling hills converge with the mist-shrouded forests of the Macgillycuddy's Reeks, whispers of a mysterious entity known as Carraig's Bigfoot, or the Beast of the Mountains, have permeated local lore for centuries. This imposing, hairy figure has captivated the imaginations of residents, drawing parallels to the famed Bigfoot of North America while firmly rooting itself in the rich tapestry of Irish folklore. The rugged landscape of southwestern Ireland, characterised by the untamed wilderness of the Macgillycuddy's Reeks and the ancient woodlands of Killarney National Park, serves as the backdrop for sporadic reports of sightings and encounters with this enigmatic creature. While many accounts are met with skepticism, they are invariably tinged with a palpable sense of fear and intrigue. Is this being a relic of a bygone era, a primal force of nature, or perhaps something more supernatural? To understand the phenomenon surrounding Carraig's Bigfoot, we must explore the eerie narratives that have emerged. The earliest documented sighting can be traced back to the 18th century. Long before the advent of modern communication, tales of a peculiar creature circulated among the farming communities that inhabited this remote, wild region of Ireland. One such farmer, Seamus O'Flaherty, resided at the base of the Macgillycuddy's Reeks, a jagged mountain range steeped in mystery. One autumn evening in 1721, after a long day tending to his sheep, Seamus made his way home through a quiet wooded path at the foot of Carraig Mountain, the highest peak in Ireland. The atmosphere was unusually still. Silence enveloped the surroundings, devoid of wind or rustling leaves. As he navigated the trail, he spotted a large, shadowy figure standing at the tree line. Initially assuming it to be a stag, Seamus soon realized that the creature was upright on two legs. Having spent his life in the wilderness, Seamus was well acquainted with the local fauna, yet this being was unlike anything he had ever encountered. Towering at least 7 feet, its body was cloaked in dark, matted hair, and its broad shoulders hunched forward. In the dim light, its eyes glowed faintly, exuding an unsettling intelligence that sent chills through Seamus. As he stood frozen, heart racing, the creature emitted a low, rumbling growl that reverberated in the stillness. In a sudden burst, the beast turned and disappeared into the woods with an astonishing speed and grace for its size. Shaken yet unharmed, Seamus hurried home to recount his experience to his family. While some dismissed his tale as the fanciful ramblings of an exhausted man, others in the village began sharing their own eerie encounters. Strange sounds at night, sightings of large, hairy figures in the trees, and enigmatic footprints found in the mud after rainfall. Over time, the narrative of the Beast of the Mountains evolved into an integral part of local folklore, transformed into a cautionary tale to deter children from venturing into the perilous woods. However, for those residing near the Macgillycuddy's Reeks, the fear remained palpable. Something unknown lurked in the shadows. As the legend of Carraig's Bigfoot developed, some began to draw connections to the puka, a shape-shifting entity from Irish mythology. Often portrayed as a mischievous or malevolent being, the puka was believed capable of assuming various forms, ranging from a horse to a goat, or even resembling a human. In rural Ireland, it was said that the puka would emerge at night, particularly during the summer and on Halloween, to play tricks on unsuspecting travellers. Some theorized that Carraig's Bigfoot might be a manifestation of this supernatural entity, adopting the guise of a wild, ape-like creature to instill terror in those who dared to approach its territory. The puka is traditionally associated with remote and desolate regions where the boundary between the human realm and the supernatural is notably diminished. The rugged, untamed beauty of the Macgillycuddy Mountains, coupled with their ancient landscapes, creates an ideal habitat for such a mythical being. Compounding the intrigue surrounding the puka is the observation that sightings of this creature tend to surge during the darker months of the year, particularly around Samhain. Many locals hold the belief that the puka, much like other entities of folklore, is intrinsically linked to the cycles of nature and the changing seasons, a primal force that emerges from the shadows as nights grow longer and colder. While its exact nature remains elusive, the puka's roots in Irish folklore imbue it with an otherworldly aura. It transcends the mere physicality of a standard creature, embodying something ancient and enigmatic, an entity capable of instilling terror in those who encounter it. One of the most renowned contemporary encounters with what is often referred to as Kerr's Bigfoot occurred in 1968 when two fishermen from the village of Corrigan, located just north of the Macgillycuddy Mountains, experienced a life-altering event. Michael Daly and Tommy O'Sullivan had spent a tranquil day fishing on Lough Carraig, a lake nestled between the mountains and the sea. As evening descended, they decided to return to shore, enjoying the calm weather and the gentle lapping of their oars against the water. Suddenly, from the dense forest bordering the lake, they were startled by a series of loud, guttural howls that were unlike anything they had ever experienced. The men paused their rowing, straining to listen. The howls were deep and resonant, echoing across the still surface of the lake. They soon heard the unmistakable sound of branches snapping, indicating that something large was moving through the trees. As the creature approached the shoreline, they caught sight of a massive figure standing upright, cloaked in dark fur, with its eyes faintly glowing in the twilight. It paused momentarily, observing them, before releasing another chilling howl. In an instinctive reaction, the fishermen began to row frantically, their hearts pounding as they sought to distance themselves from the creature. Upon reaching the shore, they dashed to the nearest house to recount their harrowing experience. While some listeners expressed skepticism, the older residents nodded knowingly. They were familiar with the tales of the mountain beast and recognized that Michael and Tommy had encountered something tangible, an entity both ancient and powerful. The story of their encounter spread rapidly, attracting reporters from surrounding areas eager to hear their account. The fisherman's testimony was detailed and consistent, and both men vowed never to return to Lough Carraig after dark. This incident reignited public interest in the legend of Kerr's Bigfoot, leading to a resurgence of reported sightings in subsequent years as the 21st century unfolded, with continued accounts of a mysterious presence in the woods. Over the past 20 years, sightings of a mysterious creature in the mountainous regions of Kerry have re-emerged as hikers, campers, and local residents report unsettling encounters with an entity that challenges rational explanation. Despite widespread skepticism, the recurring nature of these testimonies has prompted speculation about the existence of something truly extraordinary hidden within Kerry's wilderness. In the summer of 2004, a group of friends from Cork embarked on a weekend camping trip near Showick and Tochair, the highest peak in Ireland. What was meant to be a delightful retreat from urban life quickly turned into an encounter with the inexplicable. The group, comprising Mark Healy, Eileen Murphy, and John O'Connor, set up their tents in a clearing at the foot of the mountain. Their day unfolded peacefully, filled with hiking and storytelling around a campfire. However, as night fell, an unsettling atmosphere began to envelop the campsite. The familiar sounds of the forest, birds chirping and leaves rustling, suddenly ceased, replaced by an eerie silence. Around midnight, while gathered around the dwindling embers of their fire, they heard it, a deep, guttural growl emanating from the tree line. Initially attributing the noise to a wild animal, perhaps a deer or a fox, they soon realized the sound was escalating, accompanied by heavy, deliberate footsteps. Something substantial was advancing through the woods, heading directly towards them. John rose to shine his flashlight into the darkness, its beam momentarily illuminating something that chilled him to the core, a towering humanoid figure cloaked in matted hair, its eyes faintly glowing. The creature stood motionless, save for the slow rise and fall of its enormous chest. Panic surged through the group. Mark instinctively grasped a stick from the fire, attempting to use it as a makeshift torch, while Eileen desperately fumbled with her phone, hoping to summon help. Remarkably, the creature did not charge. Instead, it emitted another low growl before melting back into the shadows, vanishing as abruptly as it had appeared. In a state of heightened alarm, the friends hastily dismantled their camp, leaving their belongings behind as they fled to their vehicle. Once they reached the nearest town, still trembling from the encounter, they recounted their experience to local residents, anticipating ridicule. To their surprise, they were met with knowing nods and whispered discussions about the legendary beast of the mountains. In 2012, the story of the creature had faded somewhat from the public consciousness, yet for those who frequented the wilderness of County Kerry, it remained a poignant reality. David O'Brien, a veteran forest ranger with over 20 years of experience patrolling the areas surrounding Killarney National Park, had heard the legends but had never taken them seriously, until he faced his own encounter. On a brisk October morning, David embarked on his customary rounds. The first frost of the season adorned the ground, and a light fog enveloped the air as he navigated a well-trodden path near Macross Lake. It was then that something unusual caught his attention: large footprints imprinted in the frost-laden grass. These tracks were significantly larger than human footprints, measuring at least 18 inches in length and spaced widely apart, suggesting that the creator of these impressions walked on two legs. Intrigued, David followed the trail further into the forest. As he ventured deeper, the trees seemed to close in around him, and the fog thickened, muffling the ambient sounds of the natural world. After approximately 20 minutes, he arrived at a clearing where he encountered an astonishing sight. At the edge of the clearing, partially shrouded in mist, stood a colossal figure, easily 8 feet tall. The creature was draped in dark, shaggy fur and appeared hunched, as if it were searching for something on the ground. David froze, scarcely daring to breathe. For a fleeting moment, their eyes met before the creature turned and vanished into the trees. Shaken yet resolute, David hurried to the spot where the creature had stood. The footprints remained, and the underbrush showed signs of disturbance, indicating that something substantial had passed through. He documented the evidence with photographs and returned to his base to report the incident to his supervisor. Though his colleagues were skeptical, David was convinced of the reality of what he had witnessed. The legendary beast of the mountains was indeed real. Meanwhile, a group of tourists from the United States chose to hike the Kerry Way, a long-distance trail that meanders through some of Ireland's most breathtaking landscapes. Among them was Sarah Wilson, an enthusiastic hiker who had heard tales of the beast of the mountains but dismissed them as mere local folklore. After 2 days on the trail, they reached a remote section near the Black Valley, an isolated area celebrated for its rugged beauty and eerie stillness. As night fell and they set up camp, Sarah was beset by an unsettling feeling that they were being observed. The air was unnaturally still, and even the birds had ceased their songs. In the early hours of the morning, a sudden noise, a series of branches snapping, jolted her awake. Remaining still, she listened as the sound grew increasingly loud and imminent. Through her tense fabric, she glimpsed a large, hulking shadow moving past their campsite. Heart racing, she held her breath, hoping it would pass her by. However, the figure halted, lingering just outside her tent for what felt like an eternity. Paralyzed by fear, she could hear the creature's deep, rasping breaths, which sent shivers down her spine. Then, as abruptly as it had appeared, the figure moved on, melting into the darkness. When dawn broke, Sarah discovered the campsite undisturbed, yet a series of large, human-like footprints marred the soft ground nearby. The rest of the group had heard nothing unusual, but Sarah was acutely aware of what she had encountered, or rather, what she had not fully seen. The beast of the mountains had come alarmingly close. In 2020, a team of cryptozoologists, motivated by reports of unexplained phenomena, journeyed to County Kerry in search of evidence of this elusive creature. Led by Dr. Alan Ferguson, an expert in cryptid research, the group established their camp near the Gap of Dunloe, an area notorious for strange occurrences and frequent sightings. For several weeks, the research team diligently explored the forests, deploying motion-activated cameras, sound recording devices, and traps in their quest to capture footage of the elusive creature. They engaged with local residents, hikers, and park rangers, many of whom recounted their personal encounters with the enigmatic being. One farmer even provided a video he had recorded, showcasing a large, shadowy figure moving among the trees adjacent to his property. Although the footage was blurry and inconclusive, it contributed to an expanding repository of evidence. After 3 weeks of extensive investigation, the team amassed several audio recordings featuring unusual guttural howls and growls that did not match any known wildlife in the area. Additionally, they discovered multiple large footprints in the mud, closely resembling those described in earlier sightings. While the team did not succeed in capturing clear images of the creature, Dr. Ferguson remained steadfast in his belief that an undiscovered entity lurked in the wilderness. The team's findings were published in several cryptozoology journals, reigniting interest in the legend of Carr's Bigfoot. However, as is typical in cryptid investigations, the response was mixed, with a substantial number of skeptics challenging the validity of their evidence. Critics dismissed the findings as mere misidentifications of wildlife or elaborate hoaxes, while others theorized that the beast of the mountains could represent an undiscovered species concealed within Ireland's remote landscapes. Despite the accumulating evidence, the mystery of Carr's Bigfoot remains unresolved. For some, the creature is merely a figment of Ireland's rich folklore. For others, it represents a tangible being that exists in the shadows, awaiting discovery. As long as the dense forests and mist-covered mountains of County Kerry persist, the legend of the beast will continue to flourish. Whether viewed as a cryptid, a supernatural entity, or simply a product of imagination, Carr's Bigfoot stands as one of Ireland's most enduring mysteries, an enigma that eludes explanation and captivates the curiosity of those who dare to pursue the truth.